Good evening, everyone. How are you guys tonight? It's a surprise. It is Wednesday. You're not a day off, I promise you. In case I just put you into a Christmas Eve panic. Tomorrow's Christmas Eve, so I will not be here live with you guys tonight, tomorrow evening. I'm going to spend the day with my family. But I'm here live on a Wednesday. Emily Roth couldn't be here tonight, so I'm filling in for her. And we're going to do some painting. So you guys say hi to my husband, Sean. He's here to help with any questions we have as we go along. And my name is Brandy. I'm with Brushed by Brandy, and I'm a Dixie Paint brand ambassador. I normally paint with you guys live every Thursday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, but we're here on a Wednesday instead this week. Okay, you guys, if you haven't heard already, because everybody's been posting on it all day today, the new Dixie Silkscreen Stencils just went online today. You can find those at the link I put above in the post. Also, the new gilding waxes are on there. We've been waiting for those for months to come out publicly. You guys have been asking for them, wondering why they were missing. They're reformulated, they're rich, they're creamy, and they're better than ever. So those are both on the website as of today. But I wanted to show you guys, we're going to work tonight with a little bit, we're going to test one of the Silkscreen Stencils out, and then we'll go ahead and get started on my next project. So we're going to do some painting tonight too. So let me show you guys these. They come in 7 different designs, and these are the Silkscreen Stencils. So it's an 8x10 size, and each of the packages has 3 designs inside of it. So it shows you the 3 different designs that are inside there. And then what the Silkscreen Stencils are, let me figure out which one I want to use tonight. Let's see what's in here. I want to use something that's got some really cool detail to it. So let's use this nautical one. You know what, unless I have
Can we not and say we did?
Can we not? Cool. I want to show you guys. I just posted a piece today with the dream catcher one. And that one's really cool. Where is it? We'll use this one. This one's called Mosaic. I like this too. This has some paisley designs in it. It's got some mandala designs in it. That's another one of those words that I always feel like I say wrong. Mandala. I hear it all different ways. Okay, so I haven't used this one yet, but there's 3 different ones in each package, okay? And so it comes in various size designs. You can kind of pick, you know, based on the size of your piece. This would be really cool, you guys, behind like hardware. Could you see that with a knob in the center of it? If this was behind it and then you put a knob in the center, I think we might use that one. This is another one that you could use like that. Put a knob in the center of there and make that a hardware back. How pretty would that be? Now mine have pulls on them. You can put that right behind your hardware. So I've got a sample board here that I painted, and this is Dixie Belle Silk. I painted it on here to compare to a few other brands. There's other brands on here to scratch test it and compare the sheen and how it went on. And so we're going to go ahead and put one of the new Silkscreen Stencils onto my sample board here. And they come with an applicator tool in the package. I quickly dumped mine out, and oh, there it is. It's still in the package. Let me get it out. Okay, so this is the applicator tool that it comes with. It looks kind of strange in the package. You might be wondering what this is. They didn't forget it at the factory. It's supposed to be there. And this is the design I'm going to go ahead and put on my sample board. Is it the right size? No, that wasn't the one. This one. Okay, so what the Silkscreen Stencils are, they're lightly adhesive, so you can peel it off the backing and it's like a sticker. So if you know when you're stenciling, usually I recommend that you use a spray adhesive on the back of your stencil to keep it tacked down, number 1, so it doesn't move, and number 2, so it also helps you not get bleed through underneath your stencil. But because these are lightly adhesive, you don't have to do that. It's adhesive for you. You can choose to cut these designs up, so if you just wanted to isolate one of these, you can cut the design up. You know what, can I ask you a favor? Can you run and go get me a bowl of water?
What?
I know, by my sink. I know, it's a long way. My gosh. And I'm going to go ahead and place this over my sample here. So you guys, I'm sending Sean to get me a bowl of water, and I forgot to grab one. I do recommend when you're working with the Silkscreen Stencils that you keep a bowl of water with you. The reason is, you're not going to be able to see it on camera. But if you look at these up close, they are literally made of a screen made of silk. It's a very, very, very fine screen. And that's how you're getting the fine lines in the stencil. Can you see that on camera? Or am I making it all
No, you're okay.
out of focus?
There you go.
Can you see the screen in there?
Just stop moving and talking.
I'm holding super still. Okay, so that's what's inside them. That's how you're getting the super fine lines. So you don't want the paint to dry in there because it will start blocking. It will dry and clog those little screen holes up. And then you can ruin your stencil. And these are reusable. They are reusable. Man, that design's a little bit too big for my sample here. Here, we'll do these two guys right here because they're the right size. Okay, I wanted to use this little star right here, but it's a little too big for my color block here. So we're gonna use these, we'll do these two right here. So you can use these with the regular paint. You can use them with the Moonshine Metallics. You can use them with the Dixie Belle Mousse. And I've even seen people using them with the gilding waxes. It needs to, whatever it is, it needs to be fine enough to get through the screen on the stencil. So I'm going to show it to you guys. We'll do right down here. Can you see down here okay? It's not coming up, so trust me, you need to come down here. We're going to work right here.
All right. Give me a second.
Okay, so we'll get camera resituated down to where you guys can see, because I want you guys to see up close what these look like, because it has so much detail that from far away you're going to miss it. And you know what? I'm going to grab a darker metallic. I want contrast for camera purposes.
Action. See here, I thought Liz and I were good friends, and she just said I sound like Napoleon Dynamite.
That sounds like a compliment. Okay, so I got my blue metallics. I got Caribbean and Pacific. Let's see. So this is over silk paint, and this color is called Serenity. This is the new silk line from Dixie Belle. And the closest color to it in the Chalk Mineral line is going to be Vintage Duck Egg. So I'm going to do the darker metallic. So this is Pacific. So let me go ahead and shake this up because I just got it off my shelf. And then...
Oh, Sheila, you have no idea. She said if I sit on the floor, I'm not going to get up.
This is true. Okay, and then I'm going to take my... You know what? Let's take a little sponge brush. I'm going to take a little sponge brush and I'm going to put this on top of my stencil. And you got to kind of work it in there. So remember I told you it's made of a silk screen, literally a screen. You want the paint to go through the little tiny holes in the screen. That's how you're getting the fine line. And if I look at this up close, I can see that it's filled all those holes. So I'm just going to apply it with this, and then I'm going to come back with the applicator tool, which is kind of a scraping tool. It's a little large for I could cut this. Should probably just cut this thing up. It's too big. Yeah, I'm just going to cut a piece of this off. It's just a light plastic, so I'm just going to cut mine. Because I'm working on such a small space, I just want to be able to work in this little area. That's way more functional. And I'm just going to kind of scrape it into the holes on my silk screen, making sure that it has gotten through all those little tiny holes. Okay, so you kind of scrape over it like a spatula. So let's do one in the Moonshine, and then I'm going to do one in the regular paint too, just so you can see. So that's our Moonshine design right there. That is in Pacific. And then I'm going to do this one right here in Fluff, which is a Dixie Belle white. And that'll just be some nice contrast against the blue background. I just want you guys to be able to see how fine these are on camera.
Sheila wants you to hold it up again, but I realize you have paint on there, so we'll...
Yeah, give me just one second. I'm gonna hold it up. I'll hold it up before I peel this off, but let me go ahead and get this one on. If you're doing multiple colors, like I said, you don't want to let your paint dry in your design. So that's where it kind of becomes important to maybe cut it up and just make sure that you're not letting it sit too long with paint on it so that it dries in your little stencil holes. Don't ask me how I know that. I might have done that already and lost and ruined one of my stencils. These are reusable. You can reuse these up to 10 times. You wash them out. I would compare the stick, the adhesive on it, to almost like a gel cling that you would use on a window. Do you guys know those lightly adhesive gel clings? So when you wash them, they actually get a little bit more sticky. It's kind of weird, but it's pretty cool. So you can just put them in water and still wash it out and then reuse your stencil. Okay, I'm gonna hold this up so you guys can see with the paint on top of it, and I hope you can see how, let me scrape this away a little bit more, get some of that paint off the surface. And then you guys can see how the paint goes into the screen holes. So I see that it's all covered. I don't have any areas where just the screen is showing versus see right here how I can still see through to my underneath surface. But here it's all covered in my paint. Okay, so you guys ready for the magic? You're gonna wanna get in here. This is really cool. This is the best part. So I'm gonna go ahead and peel this off. Again, it's that light adhesive. It's not adhesive enough to actually ruin your paint. It's just a very light adhesive. Okay, so my metallic isn't quite as crisp. I think I overworked it a little bit. Yeah, I can see it. Okay, but the white is beautiful. It's perfect. That is detail. And then I'm gonna throw my stencil right now into my dish of water. Okay, and I'm gonna make sure that those get into water. It's water-based paint. They clean off really easily unless you let it dry. As long as you don't let it dry on your stencil, you're okay.
Now, a stupid question.
Yes.
Has not been asked on here, by the way. Is this how they used to do silkscreen shirts, like t-shirts?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
So this one right here, I'm not really happy with the outcome. I'd probably take it, I could just wipe it off at this point. The paint is still wet. Should I do that? Yeah. I'm just gonna take it off. I'm not happy with the outcome. I would just wipe it off and I would do it over again. My stencil's reusable. Just not, but I love this one right here. I just think I overworked that. I'm just gonna,
guys, I'm gonna go rogue and get. I want to get that white one.
so this is over silk. It's unsealed, but I mean, that wiped away super easily. So I just messed it up. I just take it back off again and I can replace my, but let's look at
it. Doesn't get in close enough.
That good?
And I'm probably got my hand and everything in the other one.
So you can, I mean, that's detail that you can't get with any regular stencil out there. None. And then that it's reusable.
Now, up to 10 times?
Up to 10 times. I mean, you may get more if you take really good care of it. That's just the, you know, the general recommendation. But I'll show you right now. Let me kind of rinse this off in my little dish. I'm just going to use my fingers. I'm going to use my sponge brush that I kind of, and I just rub over it lightly just to get that paint off. And you guys will see, I mean, I'm going to have not my best cleaning job here in my bowl. Okay, so what I do is I have a stainless steel backsplash behind my sink. So I literally take this after I wash it. It's still wet. I'm gonna ruin my piece doing this. And I just stick it onto my backsplash just like that. And it'll hang and dry. And I come back within an hour or so and it's all dry and I can reuse it again. If you want to do, like say I was doing a piece and I wanted to do the same thing over and over and over again, I do recommend that you rinse it out in between each use, but you can just hit it lightly with a hairdryer or a heat gun and just rinse that water off. If you tap it off with a cloth or a towel, you're going to get lint on it and then it's not going to be as adhesive. So try not to do that and just let it air dry. But now it's clean again. So I can reuse this. This is the design I have on my piece right here. And now I can reuse this. It's got paint still around the stencil, but that would come off if I actually washed it. So I'm just gonna leave this in my bowl until I have a chance to wash it after my live. But I wanted to show you guys how crisp and clean the details are with the silk screen, because it's not like any other type of stencil design that you can get. You know, I've got a million stencils and there's nothing that's going to come close to being that clean. They work great with a paste texture. So the paint, you know, the Moonshine Metallics are a little bit thinner than the regular paint. The Dixie Belle paints are nice and thick, especially it's winter time right now. They're even thicker. But they work better with that kind of paste texture. So this, whereas the Moonshine Metallics are a little bit thinner. Okay, so those are pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about them.
So if the adhesive wears off the back, can you spray it again? I
would not put a spray adhesive on them because you can't control spray adhesive. You're going to end up with it in the little tiny holes of the screen. So I think once you're, but I mean that adhesive, like I said, it's not like a regular adhesive. It's like a gel cling almost, where when you wash it, it gets stickier. You know. What else is like it? Who has a Cricut? The mat that you use for your Cricut, it's like that.
Well, like an anti-slip, like a silicone.
I mean, it's you.
Not that, but I mean,
even if you were to get lint on the back of it from a cloth or something, you could still come back and wash it off again. It's going to keep washing. Like I said, you know, 10 uses, that's a lot of stencil uses. But if you took good care of it, I think you could probably get, you know, more. You don't take care of them, you're going to get less. So that's kind of an in the middle target. So I'm going to turn this and I'm going to show you guys the piece that I'm working on here. So you guys, I posted on my page today that in 2021, the new year, my goal is to hit my YouTube channel really hard. And so with my last, I'm 3 pieces now, I've recorded start to finish videos, every step with instruction. They're, you know, in the 20-minute range and they're full tutorials. So I'm going to start doing those on my YouTube channel with my pieces. I'm hoping to get 1 a week out. But one of them that I'm doing on January 2nd, we're going to debut videos with some other YouTubers, and this is the piece that I'm working on. So we were all inspired by Dixie Belle. We got a little package surprise of colors to use on our pieces. And I'm going to start my piece here with you guys tonight. And then if you guys go subscribe to my YouTube channel, when these videos debut, there's also going to be a giveaway with them. So it's a very sizable, generous giveaway too. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel so that when this video debuts on January 2nd, you guys have information on where to go for giveaway instructions, okay? So I'm telling you, it's gonna be worth your while in 2021 to find me on YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna turn this and we're gonna work on the side of this piece. And let me show you the colors that I'm gonna use on it. So it's a pretty flat front, and I actually searched for a piece that had a really flat front, because I want my paint finish to be the interest in this piece. So the colors I have I'm going to work with are Dixie Belle Caviar, which is a pure black. Dixie Belle Chocolate is a nice rich brown. I'm going to turn my containers around so you can see the colors. Burlap. Let's see what's right there. Gold Digger, which is a gold. And then, where'd my fluff go? And Fluff. Okay, so those are the colors that you're going to see in my paint finish, but there's also some that are going to come up a little bit later we won't use tonight. Dixie Belle Patina Paint and Iron, which if you guys have ever used patina paint, you know that iron creates rust. When you use this is paint that has metal particles in the paint. When you use a reactive spray with it, it creates rust on your piece. So I'm going to have hints of rust. So you can kind of see this is going to be my fire, and I've got some sparkle in there. It's kind of a New Year's inspiration. And what I envision doing is a sort of cross-hatching technique. And I'm going to mix in the metallic of the Gold Digger, a little bit of the rust, and I also am going to use some of the mousse. But let's go ahead and put a base on this tonight, which is going to be our first coat. So I'm starting with, I put a base on this last night of Dixie Belle Burlap, and the burlap is just so I have coverage on my piece. I want little bits of it to peek through, but you're not really going to see the burlap. I just wanted to cover, this is a maple chest, and I just wanted to cover, well here, you can kind of see here where I started with. I just wanted to cover the wood finish, but this is a very, very minor part of my finish, the burlap. You're not really going to end up seeing it. All right, I'm gonna start down at the bottom with some of my darker colors, and slowly I'll get lighter as I come up.
Sheila spotted her secret cubby.
Hello! The fairy door. I need to get one of those would you bend fairy doors. I'm gonna have to ask Solly to send me one. Ooh, I should do that. I'm gonna message her tonight. Because I have a would you bend order coming, actually. I should just have her throw me in a fairy door with that. We'll put a fairy door on it. Okay, so I want to kind of start with my darker colors, but it's going to all overlap and it'll slowly get lighter as I go up. So I've got my Dixie Belle Mini. I need a rag for this because I want very little paint on my brush. So I'm going to start with some paint. I'm using my Caviar, and I'm going to lay it off on my paint container because I really want kind of a dry brush. And you guys have seen me do this before. And you guys, I'm doing this on purpose. We're going to do just enough tonight to get it into its ugly phase, and then I'm going to leave you guys wondering what the heck this is going to look like.
Does it at least have a good personality?
Isn't that mean? All part of my plan to lure you guys in. So I'm using a fairly dry brush, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to hit this vertically and horizontally. So I build up this cross-hatching pattern. And I want the black to be heavier down here on my base. Now this is just my undercoat here. I'm going to keep building this up with all the colors that I listed. And you're barely going to see the burlap peeking through by the time I'm done, but it'll have all these layers of color and texture in it. Comes out really cool. And then the little bit of metallic gives it some sheen too. But we're going to make it ugly tonight. I'm using very, very little paint on my brush. I want my Caviar to be a little heavier down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to come over and I'm going to cover it a little bit with some other colors. I'm going to weave some other colors in here into my weave. I'm going to bring my Caviar up a little bit because I do want some. I don't want it completely non-existent. I'm refilling my brush after kind of every use because I have so little paint on there that it doesn't last. You guys like, oh my gosh, this is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. That looks like, I've seen that on Craigslist before, people trying to give it away.
Or just on the side of the road.
Yeah, I will not go pick it up. I want to have these areas that have like heavier spots and lighter spots. All that's going to matter eventually. My arm is going to be so exhausted by the time I'm done with this. So I mentioned being kind of inspired by flame and sparkle. This is the charcoal of my flame. I'm going to get in here in this crevice. So the Caviar is the charcoal of my flame. You can't have flame without having embers too. Okay, and I'm going to graduate up through the colors. So my next color I'm going to use is going to be my chocolate. So I haven't used chocolate in a while. Can you tell? You give it a good bang on the floor, it breaks that seal. There we go. I'm going to switch my brush. And I'm just going to use what's in my lid, and I'm going to come back and repeat the same process and weave that charcoal in.
Same brush?
Different brush. Different brush. I mean, I don't think it would really matter if you use the same one.
Well, for anybody that's counting, how many brushes?
I'm going to use one for each color, which is usually where I end up. So I have 5 colors out. I'm not using my patina paint. That will come later. So right now we're going to be at 5 colors. I'm really focusing down low right now because I'm starting with my darker colors, and that's where I want my darker colors to be heavier. This is just my first coat too, you guys. I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this again when this is all dry. If I keep layering while it's wet, I'm going to start smearing my colors. So I've got to let it dry some and then come back and then I get fuller coverage. So right now my coverage is going to be kind of light. I'm going to see that burlap peeking through. and it's going to slowly disappear. That's a pretty strong streak. I'm not too thrilled about that, but I can cover it up with future ones. Like as I layer another color over, I'll just make sure that that gets a... Okay, so here's something that I'm going to do. When I come back for my next coat, I'm going to reverse the order. So my next coat, I will start with my lighter colors and work my way down in the darker. And the reason is because you start kind of getting heavy with whatever you put on first. So I know that I'm going to end up from this coat, I'm going to end up heavy. I said whatever I put on first, whatever you put on last.
So next, okay, so before you, next time you dip your brush, can you show us? Lynn wants to see how much you basically have on your brush when you're doing this.
Honestly, Lynn, I'm not even dipping into the paint. This is my chocolate. I tipped it upside down so it got a whole bunch onto the lid. I'm not even using the container. I'm dipping into the lid. It's like this, and then I'm still gonna even come back and lay it off. I don't want anything but just whatever looks like a dry brush. So I take off any excess, and that's what I have left over. Just enough that I can get a few strokes out of it, and then tip it back in, brush it off on my edge, give myself some paint. Back in, brush it off, give myself some paint. So it's going to be really rich. These are going to be really rich and vibrant colors. I'm not going to use my metallic, my gold digger, until the end of my last coat, because if I sit and cover it with the regular paint, it's going to lose, I'm going to lose the metallic underneath it. I'm going to come back with a little bit of my caviar, which is the black, and darken this up a little bit. My paint's dried for a minute. I really want to be nice and dark in the crevices. Still a little bit wet in the crevices. So I'll have to really darken those up on my next coat. But I don't want to lose my caviar completely. Again, I'm just using the lid. You can kind of see how with every layer, I start losing that burlap underneath. But it's good that that I have a base coat that you don't see the wood. At least I'm not seeing the wood. That's all it was for. I just don't want the wood involved. All right. So that was a little bit more caviar. I'm even going to use some of my burlap doing this because I want it to be a layer. So even though it's my base coat too, and then it's going to really start lightening these up. Very soft hand on this one because I don't want a lot of the burlap, but I do like how it starts to lighten things up. And you start building up this sort of woven texture in your paint. You guys can tell, like my arm's I mean, this is just one side of my piece. How much back and forth this is, your arm's gonna get tired. So don't do it after arm day at the gym, like any of us can even go to the gym right now. I do want some burlap kind of peeking through down here, so I'm going to put some in. Again, I'm just using the lid. So you kind of get lost in the messiness of it, but once you do the same thing over and over again, it starts having consistency and it loses that messiness that you see at first. And then up here, as I get lighter, I'll have these spots where the chocolate and the caviar kind of peek through. This is just my base coat. It's going to get a whole nother coat of this too. So when I come back for my final coat, I will also put in some patina paint in here. Not all over because I don't want just rust. This whole piece isn't about rust, but I am going to mix some in So I have spots of rust. I'm going to come over to my fluff. I'm going to go ahead and just use my same brush I used for my burlap. And fluff is more of a pure white, so this is where it's going to really start lightening it up. And so I'm going to have more of my fluff up here, less down here. Just using my lid again. I had paint in it. And it starts picking up cool texture too, because each of these brush strokes has a little bit of texture. And I'm going so light that it picks up the texture of the brush strokes underneath. And I can still see the colors. It looks like a, oh gosh, okay, shoot, I can't think of it. The name of it's a fabric. It looks like a fabric, like what they, tweed, thank you. The colors of this look like a rich tweed. Wow, there is nobody talking to me right now. Are you?
Oh no, they are. They're just talking amongst themselves, but it's okay.
Well, you can involve me too.
Hello, I don't want to involve you. Yeah, you can stand in the corner.
Okay, so I like this as a base. I'm even going to throw a little bit of my gold digger in here. This unopened container. Here's my pet peeve, you guys. I hate having multiple containers of the same color open. That one's unopened.
Oh, let me go open some colors then.
That is my pet peeve. So you have the kind of masculinity of a tweed fabric, and this is why I chose a fairly flat front piece, because you can imagine if you've got a lot of surface on your piece, doing this kind of brush stroke. So there are some pieces that are better suited for certain finishes than others. Okay, this really kind of warms it up, gives you the nice richness of the gold, but then it's going to hit in the light too. So I'll have the fire of the gold with a little bit of the
killing me, Kate.
A little bit of the patina, which will have those rich red tones in it.
So different brushes would create different texture, or roughly. I
mean, if I was using like this brush and then I went and my other brush is this one, yeah. But I'm using all.
Well, yeah, they're all the same that you're using. But I mean, if you were going to use different brushes, not the same model of brush.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I have here. Like a chip brush leaves way more streaky texture. The mini is much softer. So you certainly could. I hate painting with a chip brush for most anything. I'll always choose a mini over. But yeah, you will just get different looking brush strokes from every type of brush. You may need to use a different hand. You know, I'm using a really soft hand here. If your bristles are firmer, that's going to make a difference. I just want to feel like I have pretty good variation in this. So the gold ends up being really just for shimmer. It warms it up a little bit, but I don't want it to be too strong. And then my other thought was even taking a little bit of my Dixie Belle gemstone mousse, and I'm going to use it like a paint. Let's see if I have anything to stir this up. Hang on, guys. My gemstone mousse. When you get the mousse, you want to make sure you stir it well. So mine is not stirred well. I just want something small. I'm just going to start with this edge of this paintbrush. Yeah, I can feel the thickness of it is down at the bottom. Now I'm going to thin this product out anyways, but I don't want to thin out just the very top so that my product ends up, so that what I have left in my container is just the thickness at the bottom. I'm going to mix it and then I'm going to pour it onto a plate. And I'm going to add water to this and use it like a paint.
Yeah, I like the analogy. This being the New Year's piece, 2020 to 2021 is going to transition from ugly to...
From dark to light. We hope it.
Don't worry, Ed. I kind of figured. was calling it out as being ugly.
It's in its ugly phase right now. I'll be the first to tell you that one. They always go through an ugly phase. So I'm going to add some water just to my gemstone mousse because I want this rich copper color. Okay, so here's the deal, guys. When they send us a mystery box like this, we're supposed to only use what's in that box, but we can use it in any way that we want. So now I can put this, I wanted a little bit of copper to play with, and this lets me have it like a paint in there too. So this time I am using the chip brush because I like the streakiness of the brush strokes.
Could you use the copper patina as a paint?
Yes, you can. You can use the copper patina. Okay, so here's what's going to be the problem for me to do that. I do intend to add iron patina later, and I'm going to use the spray. Once you use the spray, it's going to turn to a different color. For copper, it turns to blues and greens. The verdigris copper turns to a verdigris color. So I wouldn't want to use copper with this because I intend to use iron to get the oranges, because then my copper would turn to blues. If you weren't going to use the spray at all, like if this was not part of your process, then you could put the copper paint on here and you could absolutely use that. But once you put that spray on it, it's not going to be rich copper anymore. It's going to be blues and greens. And blues and greens don't go with what I got going on here. Okay, so I told you I was going to leave you guys with it just at its ugly phase. I feel like this is sufficiently ugly. What do you guys think? It looks like a mess. I've done this look before. It looks gorgeous in the end. So you guys got to trust me.
Nobody's really seeing the ugly in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that surprised me. It comes out in the end because you get all this variation, but it's all woven together. So next time, on my next step on this piece, I'm going to start with my lighter colors and I'm going to end with my darker ones. So I'm going to reverse the order. This time I started with dark and ended with my lighter. I'm going to reverse the order, and all these layers are going to start going underneath each other and just peeking through. And I've got some really rich spots that have like, I love how that mousse painted on like a paint with a little bit of water added into it. It's nice and rich. I could use a little more white in here. It's a little less white than I'd like. But the problem is that you start getting all these layers of wet paint, and then it's going to all start smearing together if you keep overworking it. So I really need to let this dry, and then I can come back and really get the layers to where I want them to be. And I want to lighten this up a little bit, I think, and then just darken it up down here. So you guys stick with me. If you want to see this entire process start to finish, go subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do you like what I did there? It's like manipulation, huh? I use it with my kids all the time.
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Sean just figured some stuff out. He's putting the pieces together. She got me to do the dishes last night.
No.
No, really, I could never finish a full finish on camera like this, but if you guys want to see how I get to where I'm going to get to, it'll have a full tutorial on it with a giveaway attached to it after the new year. Okay? All right,
okay.
Guys.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pop off, but I love these colors together. It's really rich. It does look like a tweed. If you guys know the finish that I used this on before, I used it with blue, and I used it with Vintage Duck Egg and Gravel Road and Steel Magnolia, and it came out really, really, really gorgeous. And if you looked up close, it just had this beautiful texture in the paint, and the color starts getting more uniform as you keep working it. So that's where I'm going to get to. Know that I've done this before, and it comes out gorgeous. So once again, the colors that we used tonight, we used Moonshine Metallics and Gold Digger. We used Chocolate, Burlap, Fluff, and Caviar. And then we used a little bit of our gemstone mousse in copper, which is called amber. We just have to look. To me, it's just copper.
Now, really quick, Am wanted to thank you. She did her first tricolor blend.
Yay!
All
That's
you.
so exciting. That's so exciting. 3 colors are my favorite. I think they really make a beautiful blend. That's really exciting. And go post it so I can see it. Post it in the Chalk Mineral Enthusiast group so I can see it. Chalk Mineral Paint Enthusiast, you guys, is the Dixie Belle Paint Facebook page. It's a Facebook group where you can share, you can ask questions. So we love, I mean, I go in there and I answer questions and stuff, but I love seeing all the work in there. I love when it's inspired by something we've done, because it's a really cool feeling to see that you've inspired someone enough to try something new, go outside their comfort zone. So tag the artists that are inspiring you guys and let us see what you're doing. It's really fun for us too. That's the gratification we get out of teaching. So.
The big thing here is Merry Christmas to everyone.
Oh, thank you guys. Merry Christmas to you guys too.
Me and my COVID body have some fireplaces to get down, or some chimneys.
You better not have COVID.
My COVID body from staying home and not being able to exercise.
Yeah, we do have the extra the COVID 20. We've definitely got that.
Is 20 a limit? I might have.
Yeah, that COVID or 20.
Or was that a recommendation?
It was a solid start. Yeah, we got us.
I'm asking for a friend.
So you guys, I will not be here live with you guys tomorrow because it's Christmas Eve and I have kids and we're going to spend it tomorrow together as a family and have a nice dinner together. And so I won't be here live with you guys tomorrow. I also won't be here live with you guys next Thursday either because it's New Year's Eve.
What?
I know. Believe it or not, I have a life.
Well, wait. What?
This is news.
Have I met these people?
It's news to Sean, but I do. So I won't see you guys before Christmas. So thank you guys so much for the Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody. You guys enjoy your families out there. And we will see you guys again in a couple weeks, okay? Thank you. Enjoy, you guys. Happy holidays.